Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we're transitioning. We're leaving the 3-3 and we're transitioning into the 3-4. That means we hit the metaphorical high tide. Now we're technically in slack tide as this starts, and the direction of the electromagnetics is going to start to flow out again. All right. And this is obviously day one. We're going to be talking about day one, which is this white rectangle right here. Now, anytime we change direction, so when we go from a 3-3 to a 3-4, a 3-4 to a 3-5, whenever there's that alteration, there's a big polarity flip that happens. And if anybody was paying attention last night when we talked about the last 12 hours before this flip, we saw that first person was way up and now it's laying down. And what's happened is it's reversed and third person polarity's gone way up. Now, first person polarity is going to agitate us in our general sphere of people that are around us, our family, our community, the people we see on a day to day basis. Third person polarity moments are going to agitate us on the bigger philosophical beliefs that we invest in. And there is a lot of tension going on all over the world as far as how individuals think things should be, and they're arguing over it. And this is just a time where that's really going to amplify. Now, we always talk about four being the number you got to worry about. And you can see third person perspective is rolling out a four all by itself. That's even without the combined. And when we look at the combined, we're going to see here in the second half of this first day, it really shoots up. We hit a level 8. And that's because we have first person agitation and we have third person agitation coming together. Now, during slack tide, it's not so bad. But once this current starts going the other way, it's going to wipe a lot of people out. It takes your energy out. It's like you get jet lag. Your body's got to get used to this reversal and flow of this unseen electromagnetic energy that's surrounding us. All right. So, this is obviously, if you paid attention to any previous forecasts, anytime we switch these tides, this is when big events usually happen right around this moment. So, we're going to see weather events amplify, we're going to see social events amplify. And before the tide flip, we're going to see more first person events happen. After the tide flips, we expect to see a lot of things happening at the larger level here. And you can see that this elevation is going to stay elevated for quite some time. This has to do with a polarity flip that's happening at the macro E frequency. There's a dual polarity flip right now. That's going to drop off, but then we're going to have a small m, a micro mental frequency going to a polarity flip. And that's what's holding this up. This is gonna be a tough period, and you can see it doesn't really let up here, so we're just kinda discussing what's coming in this 6.5 day sequence. We've got elevation halfway through this sequence, and when this finally lays down, then look what happens here. We're coming right back up again in the first person agitation. Now, overall, this is gonna be a pretty tough 6.5 days too, because again, remember, 4 is what we look at here, and here's the line of 4, and when we do the combined, we're pretty much above a 4 this entire segment again. So unfortunately, we really need to be paying attention here, and we don't want these unseen agitations getting under our skin. They're poking us, they're prodding us, they're trying to get us to act defensively, either run from our problems and ignore what's happening around us, or stand up and fight in ways that doesn't make it any easier for us to come to any conclusions or agreements. All right, that's the design here. This is the challenge. And if you can overcome your defensive design, well, then it comes a whole lot easier to achieve the objective. Now, space time reality is pretty simplistic to understand. We are all connected to the same mathematics. Everything is connected from the smallest level to the largest level. And what we're all expected to do is act as an interconnected family or an interconnected team. Now, it makes no difference if this is a blood relative or someone you've never met, they are part of our team. Now, our team leaders are supposed to be the maturing people. That would be our fathers and mothers. And our teammates, these are the people that are becoming better leaders. That's our sons and daughters. Now, it's very, very important that you don't have any conflict within this team because if you're doing that, well, then you can't achieve the objective. The first part of this objective is getting along with everybody and helping them stay calm and balanced. Now, a team has to have a focus, right? And the focus of this team is to keep our world in order and balance. Now, unfortunately, our world is far from balance and our weather is starting to become very concerning. This is because individuals have overinvested in these lower ones right here, and they've forgotten about the importance of having a routine, but of making sure they're contributing to both the world and national level, conserving resources, conserving energy, making sure that they're organizing at larger levels to help organize this interconnected team. Now, that's how easy this is. Now, if you're not doing that, these are the governing frequencies that are going to test us this next 6.5 days. And this is telling you which frequencies are going to test and how much they're going to test and which quadrants they're going to test. And if you have quadrant problems in your body, if you have upper left quadrants, It's related to these relationships. Upper right quadrants related to these relationships. Lower left quadrant problems related to these relationships. Lower right quadrant problems related to these relationships. You need to understand how to get along with every member of a team, whether they're mature or they're immature. You have to be able to figure out, how do we get our teammates that are maturing or immature? How do we talk about balancing our routines together? That's the hardest part. Getting along as a family, but ignoring what people are doing, that happens way too often. We need to care about the people enough to inspire them through our own actions, but also encourage them to start to balance their routines out. And they're going to want to do this because pretty soon they're going to figure out that this is all connected. And a lot of their pain and dysfunction and the things that go wrong in their day is because they're out of balance with these frequencies. Now, here's the good news. Once you decide to commit to the team, and once you decide to equally balance your time, making sure you're contributing at all four of these levels, you're going to be as close to in balance as you can with these frequencies, which is going to slow aging and it's going to stop. And if you do it long enough, you can reverse stages of disease. If you don't do this, you accelerate aging and you're guaranteed you're going to have predetermined disease. All right. That's a good review here. Now we're going to move on down and we're going to talk about this 24-hour segment. Now, this 24-hour segment, we take shots of it. We've got 24 of them up here for all the time zones. Okay. And you just come down here, you find your time zone offset, and you would snapshot this on your phone or you'd put this on your computer. This is for people that don't have internet. On our homepage, healthreconnected.com, we have a live feed and we have a live bar that runs through this so you can see exactly where we are within this electromagnetic sequence. I use it all the time. Okay. I was just out for lunch the other day with my father and my mother, and my dad got a little upset all of a sudden, and it kind of surprised my mom and I. Pulled out the phone and I said, "Hey, look it." And I'm using this as an example, but it was happening right on a peak, just as expected. And it helped everyone in the car calm down. It helped my dad calm down, and it just got us through that moment that much easier. That is how useful knowing when these peaks are. And that's how we want you to use this. Because if you don't know when these peaks are coming, it's hard to understand why we feel uneasy inside, or why we're getting agitated, or why we lash out. This is why. This is the organized pattern of chaos, and it is literally trying to trick us into not achieving the objective. And when it tricks us, what it does is it makes us suffer. It advances everything we don't want and makes our life stressful, which that's not fun either. All right. So that's enough about this because in all reality here, everybody needs to be on high alert. And it's not going to feel easy here. Remember, once we get about 12 hours into this, you're going to start to feel the effects of this reversal. And it's that jet lag feeling, which makes it even harder to stay calm, which is going to really make this peak right here noticeable. So halfway through this sequence, when we hit this marker here at 8, you're going to want to know when that comes and you're going to want to be prepared for it. All right. That's enough about that. This is red alert. This is high alert. Definitely pay attention. All right. So let's talk about alignments because we got quite a few of them here. We're going to start at the bottom of the chart. We're going to work our way up. The first alignment we're going to talk about is this PE on the bottom right here. This is going to affect the lower left quadrant and the upper right quadrant. The P frequency is 12 hours. The E frequency is a 3.5-hour frequency. If you have issues during this time, you'd want to document it. If these parts of your body hurt, it will tell you specifically which members of the team you need to get better with and which views you need to start to diversify and make sure they're part of your routine in the future. The next one we're going to talk about is this EE right here. That's this guy. Hour and a half, space alignment. Okay. The E is a 6.5-day frequency. The small e is a 3.5-hour frequency. This is going to affect lower left quadrant. So if you have lower left quadrant problems during this time, you're going to want to document that. This tells you exactly what you need to focus on. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is this long space alignment. This is the longest alignment in this 24-hour period. It's 6 hours long, and this one's going to be checking the upper quadrants of the body. It's going to be testing the right and left upper quadrant. Now, this M frequency is a 7.5-day frequency. This is pretty strong. The P frequency is a 12-hour frequency. So between these two, much more likely you're going to feel it in the right upper quadrant of your body. This could affect concentration. This could affect memory. This could affect sinuses. This can affect anything in that quadrant. This is a mental rhythm and it's a pretty strong one. So expect if you feel something to document that. I would imagine people that suffer with headaches, sinus problems, sight issues, hearing issues, and memory are really going to feel this one, okay, if you're out of balance. And remember, these are the leadership colors. So you're supposed to be team leaders. And if you're not leading other people or developing your leadership skills on how to bring our team together and how to diversify our routines, you'll be out of balance this one. All right. Let's keep moving here. Now we're going to get up to this ME, and we're going to talk about the space side first. This ME is going to test the left lower quadrant. This M frequency is a year frequency. The small e is a 3.5 hour frequency. This is going to be pretty strong. Now, it's not a terribly long alignment. It's only happening for a pretty short time here. But if you feel something down here during that time, you want to document exactly where you feel it, what you felt, and when you felt it, because you can use that information with our technology and really deep dive in what it is you need to focus on to make sure that doesn't hurt and that you can stop the progression of what's going on inside of you in the future. All right. So we got two more to talk about here. We're going to talk about the ME on the other side now. Now, this is going to go to the right lower extremity. Same thing here, except it's longer. So 3.25 hours. This is a year frequency. This is a 3.5 hour frequency. And this is a pretty substantial alignment. It's long enough and it's strong enough that I expect people to be feeling this down here. Just document. We can help you, but we got to get that data in order to help you. All right, so the last one we're going to talk about is this MP. It's the top one up here. This is 3 hours, and again, this is going to lower extremity. So this, again, is going to end this 12-hour sequence kind of with an exclamation point. And if you're feeling anything on either side, and with this alignment, it's more likely you're going to feel the right. Again, this is a year. This is a 12-hour frequency. That's why it's more likely on the right side. Again, document if you have any issues. We'd love to help you with that. All right, so when we just look at the general colors here in the testing frequency, there's really only one alignment that's going to get after the upper quadrants. This is pretty strong though. So expect it. All the other ones are coming after the lower quadrants. All right, so let's get down here and we're going to look at the position of the macro frequencies. These are the 10 strongest frequencies that are going to happen in the next 24 hours. Okay? So it's important to know where these are. Now, if you were paying attention to our previous post, this is completely shifted. In the last 12-hour post we did, everything was stacked up on the right side. And in a moment's time here, when we switched this awareness, everything switched over to the left. So expect to feel a lot more going on the left because we got a lot stacking up on that side. So when we take a look at the testing sequence here, you can see the areas that you should expect to feel. So for a testing sequence at a 4 or above, we expect to feel that. And you can see this upper left is at a 4 or above pretty much the entire time. Now, the right side, look at it. It's below a 4, okay? Now, let's go to the left lower quadrant, above a 4 the whole time. Now, let's come down to the right lower quadrant, below a 4. So, I always say this, if I was still practicing, I would expect to see a lot of stuff going on the left side. Both lower quadrant and upper quadrant things are very likely. This is going to be one of those days where I would be informing my patients, you better take notes. We need to have data. We need to know when you hurt and where you hurt and how long it hurts, and we can help you, but we can't do that unless you're willing to take that data down. All right, so that's enough of this. That's a pretty good forecast for what's coming. Remember, high alert here because of electromagnetics. Now we're just going to do a quick review. As always, I remind everybody, if this is your first time here, we have the entire electromagnetic guide for the rest of 2024. So here's the entire summer season. Here's the entire fall season. Now, you don't have to understand the numbers or the way that we list this because we actually have the date and time it starts and the date and time it ends. So you can roll through these, and if you happen to have a travel planned or you're doing something and you want to know where the electromagnetics are, it's kind of important. There are a lot of chaotic events and weather events that happen in perfect synchronization with what's happening here. So just knowing this for travel or when you're going to be in large groups of people, kind of important because this is when chaos rears its head and people don't like to be caught up in that. We're trying to help you understand how this works. And the more people we get to understand this unseen pattern, the smoother things are going to get from us in all directions. All right, so that's pretty good for the start of the 3-4. Everybody hang on here. This is going to be a kind of a tough spell, and we'll see you in the next 24-hour post.